The following is a presentation of the Broadband Universe, brought to you by Lit Communities. Get the expertise you need to bring a high-speed network to your hometown. Lit Communities. You deserve better internet. By Vetro FiberMap. Vetro builds software that makes it radically simpler and faster for broadband providers to plan, design, build, and operate their fiber optic networks. By OnTrack Incorporated, providing telecommunications services to a myriad of service providers nationwide. OnTrack, a proven leader in connectivity. And by Vitruvi, build faster, reduce costs, improve quality. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Broadband Universe podcast. I'm Craig Corbin, and it is such a pleasure to introduce our guest today, the Vice President of Alliances and Partners with Alianza, Mr. Kevin Mitchell. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. It's great to be here and see you again.
Absolutely. You know, we just had a chance to visit recently at Fiber Connect in Nashville, a record-breaking show. I know you and your colleagues with Alianza seem to be rather busy on the expo floor. What was your thought about this year's Fiber Connect?
Yeah, this show has been great, and I think is emerging as one of the top shows to be at if you're in broadband, thinking about broadband, figuring out next-gen broadband. So it's one of the, I think, only shows nowadays where it attracts such a diverse audience, from top-tier service providers to emerging rural providers or hyper-local providers serving just a single community, as well as fiber, wireless, cable, traditional telco, every type of providers there. So it's super important. We also had record-breaking attendance from our staff there in support of all the activity. But it's great because we're meeting our customers there. Again, there are new or 100-year-old companies trying to figure out what they're going to be doing for cloud communications on top of this broadband. And the partner ecosystems there, the companies that we need to integrate with or interoperate with or otherwise just cooperate with for a better customer experience. So excellent event. Yeah. Looking forward to 2023.
Absolutely. Those are such important things that you just mentioned. The ability to network with your clients, your colleagues, your peers within the industry. So important to be able to do that in person, and great that it was a record-setting event, both with regard to registrations. I think more than 3,000. In talking yesterday with JJ, Joseph Jones with OnTrack, and has served admirably as the chairman of their shows for a number of years. I think the waiting list was upwards of 100 different companies that wanted to exhibit but didn't have room. And so that speaks well for the interest level across the board in fiber. And as you know, Kevin, it's such an important time within the industry. So many things to talk about, and we'll get to those in just a moment. For those who might not be familiar with Alianza, and I know that will be a small number, but give us that 30,000-foot overview, if you would.
Yeah, sure. So we are a software company, a cloud communications platform company that helps service providers either launch voice and a full suite of business unified communications products for the first time, or replace aging, obsolete solutions with a next-gen cloud-only solution. So no hardware, no software on-prem, makes it super easy. Everything's managed through a web portal as well as through the APIs that we can plug into back office systems. So service providers are using us, startup new ISPs to add voice into their portfolio, or providers that are looking to add new business services or just overall do a rip and replace of their existing solution. So they have a solution in which they can grow as well as transform and simplify their network operations. And we have over 200 service providers in the U.S. and Canada today on our platform with those solutions, both very small and very large providers across the different segments and spectrums of providers. We've been doing that since 2009. very focused on just helping service providers. So that's all we do. That's every single person at our company. That's every single dollar we invest in the platform is about helping service providers transform and grow with cloud communications.
It's tremendous, Kevin, the growth that Alianza has experienced in that relatively short period of time, but certainly in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What in particular are the biggest growth areas that you're seeing in the industry?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that are creating all these opportunities for Alianza in the industry at large. One of which is all this broadband funding to build out,
Yep.
launch new providers, or have provide funding for service providers to grow into areas that they previously have not served or underserved because of the financials didn't make sense. But with government grants and funding, they're able to provide that. So there's a lot new. Some of that area, the only phone service offering is traditional POTS. It's $50-$60 a month plus long distance charge, not modern communication solution. So once broadband is rolled out there, traditionally, or more often than not, fiber, then that's an opportunity to replace that POTS line with modern either home phone or a full-blown UCaaS cloud PBX offering for businesses. So all that
Right.
broadband funding is bringing in new providers, providing growth areas to replace where there's only copper today, or or reliance on cellular broadband solutions. That's a big area. Another one is just we're in this era now, really, of VoIP 3.0, VoIP 1.0
Yeah.
solutions that are 15 to 20 years old. Are Many of the vendors have disappeared, been acquired. Their solutions are end of life, no longer innovated or added features to, or if it is, it's complex to go through that upgrade cycle to get new capabilities, new features, or just make it easier to operate. So that's driving a lot of change as well, and opportunities for Alianza. We have got, I think it's 32 plus consecutive quarters of revenue growth under our belt now,
Amazing.
because of all these trends. And there's very few providers or vendors left too that are squarely focused on helping service providers and investing all the R&D and human resources into making a greater experience for service providers. So that's also lending a lot of interest, providing a lot of interest in our solution, because of that singular focus that we have.
Absolutely. Now, you talk about the funding that is out there, and of course, we start that conversation with the RDOF, the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, and I think better than $20.5 billion that will eventually be invested. Everyone, I think, immediately is drawn to the overall broadband focus
Mm-hmm.
with that. But the emphasis on voice is something that is exceptionally important in so many of the under or unserved areas around the country. Talk about that, if you would.
Yeah, the FCC, is part of their both CAF2 and their RDOF funding, has made phone service requirement to those areas in which that funding is being applied. And in part, I think it's because they want modern communications to be available in those areas, not just reliance on copper POTS technology that's based on end of life switches that are 20, 30, 50, 40
Yeah.
years old. So that's one of the drivers. But outside of kind of the FCC requirement, in that is that it's a very good business decision for service providers to bundle voice with their broadband offering, especially if they're serving any kind of business customers. I mean, we generally see in the residential world a 20 to 30% take rate on broadband or home phone on top of broadband, and the business take rate is north of 50%. So there's good margin-rich revenue that's added on top of the broadband revenue, but it also helps the overall broadband take rate and retention rate, because of those in the market that want to make a switch and not have multiple providers. If they're going to have a home phone and make a broadband switch, they want to go to a broadband provider that provides both and not have to deal with managing multiple subscriptions, multiple operators. And that's, again, even a stronger statement and truth in the business world. So it's good. It's a good opportunity. It's a great driver to create some change because of the RDOF and CAF2 funding that's bringing in all this expansion and new operators into these rural areas.
Absolutely. You're watching the Broadband Universe podcast, brought to you by Lit Communities. Light up your community. You deserve better internet. By Vetro Fiber Map, radically simpler fiber management. By OnTrack, a proven leader in connectivity. And by Vitruvi, build faster, reduce costs, improve quality. Our guest, Kevin Mitchell, the Vice President of Alliances and Partners at Alianza. And when we talk about the funding programs, most recent, obviously, the huge Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD program, I think north of $42 billion, if memory serves, that's out there as administered, I believe, through the NTIA. What are you seeing with regard to that program and voice service requirements?
Yeah, so this is different because it is not administered by the FCC, and actually will be. The states will have ultimate control of the administration and the rules in which they do that. So there's no federal requirement for phone service. States may apply a phone service requirement as part of that, and some states have for their other state funding that they've or county-based funding that's come out in the past.
Right.
Again, even if it's not a requirement, it just makes good business sense for service providers to offer it. Maybe not out of the gate if they don't have the resources to do it, but we find that 8 to 9 out of 10 new operators are going to have a phone service at some point. Again, especially if they have a business services, commercial services division or set of services. And in part, it's because we actually commissioned Independence Research to do a study of 500 SMB decision makers, small, medium business. I think it was under between 5 and 500 employees was the designation there, and interviewed them. And first of all, phone remains important even in the era of broadband for businesses. Yeah. 58% of the respondents said that phone is essential to how they do business. And another 32% of respondents said it's not just basic phone, it's advanced UC collaboration applications that are essential for us to do the way we do business. So that just underscores the importance of the commercial angle. And then, the OTT providers, the UCAS specialists, if you will, like the Ring Central's 8x8s, those are the ones that get a lot of attention. They've delivered a lot of innovation and have actually taken customers from broadband service providers that have had voice offerings in the past because of the lack of innovation on their platforms. Mm-hmm. So they've been at a disadvantage. But the broadband service providers have people in the community, so they have better support. They have better control over the quality. Businesses, again, like bundles. So we also asked that question, like, who would you rather, you, the SMB decision maker, if all the voice features are equal or meet your requirements, who would you rather pick, the broadband service provider or the over-the-top provider? And overwhelmingly, it was the broadband service provider. 87%, I think it was. So Wow. They prefer to take that. But again, those broadband providers need to have the platform that makes sense for that business, whether it's basic phone or the full-blown UCAS collaboration capabilities. So again, good business opportunity, even if BEAD, none of the states end up saying you must offer phone. It's gonna make sense for them from a financial perspective and help with the ROI on that infrastructure build out.
Something you touched on just a moment ago I thought was interesting with regard to UC or Unified Communications from the business perspective, because that really incorporates and encompasses so many forms of communication, and that's changing
Hmm.
obviously very rapidly. But from your perspective, why would you see unified communications in the broadband world as really making sense as far as the corporate world is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, part of this, the work from anywhere. Um, I don't know, I guess it's a trend. I mean, I've been working from anywhere
Hmm.
for 9+ years pre-pandemic, but
Yeah.
the, the maybe more a wider audience of workers now can do that work from anywhere. So that the importance of the collaboration and not just email, not just phone, is important. Whether it's screen share, whether it's text messaging based, or messaging through corporate messaging type platforms. So that's a big piece. And then the customers, or the end users, or the customers of businesses also just have a wide range of communication preferences. So another solution that we've brought to market is our business text messaging solution that allows the main line or main lines, maybe a support line and a main sales line, or just even
Hmm.
the local uh, professional service firm or professional or restaurant that has a main phone number that can be text enabled to communicate inbound, outbound with their market, with their end customers. So it's just having a wide range of communicating internally, and collaboration is important, as well as reaching the market and how they want to interact. There's not a one size fits all.
That's exciting, and what you just said is so important. That it's not a cookie cutter
Mm-mm.
approach that Alianza takes. It is finding the right solution for each particular organization that you work with.
Absolutely.
And we talked about the importance of being able to interact in person with the partners that Alianza has, with customers that you have. One of the next big opportunities, I guess, on the trade show circuit coming up down in Orlando, the Independent
Yeah.
Show, just around the corner, and I would assume that you and the Alianza team will be right there.
Absolutely. NCTC is a very important organization for us. We have many customers part of that organization. So that is one of our favorite shows as well, from
Yeah.
a new business development opportunity, as well as a touch point with the ecosystem and our customers.
Yeah.
We will be there. I personally won't be there, but we will definitely be there in force. I think what else is coming up? SCTE in September,
Yeah.
WTA Fall, which is a telco organization, having their event in Anchorage, Alaska, in September. So we get a little slower in the summer, but certainly there's some important events next month in July, and then September, October is definitely going to pick up with a lot of activity, both big and small events.
No doubt. Kevin, you have been so involved in the growth there at Alianza. And I know it's been exciting, both personally and professionally, to see the development
Mm-hmm.
within the organization and how Alianza has been able to help so many organizations. If you pull out the crystal ball and look down the line, where do you see the future development coming within this industry?
Well, there's a lot, a lot of funding coming. Um, I think the BEAD funding is going to be available starting in 2023, but
Right.
that funding is going to fund 5 to 10 years worth of work, right? In terms of the
Yeah.
infrastructure build outs, getting fiber as close to the customer, if not to the customer home, as possible. If not, it's going to be connecting to towers that are going to feed very high speed wireless connectivity options. So it they got XGS PON, and what's coming
Yeah.
beyond that. We're going to have 50 gig PON, 100 gig PON at some point. The continued investment in home, in building Wi-Fi management and add-on solutions. You see certainly
Right.
many of the leading manufacturers adding those or partnering to add those capabilities into their platform, and voice and cloud communications is very much going to be right there with it. The Cavello Group, a market research firm, says there's going to be 64 million cloud communications users in the United States by 2025. I think that's a
Wow.
3x from where it was a couple of years ago, and that's in part because of all this fiber build out, all this broadband build out that's replacing retired or soon to be retired copper POTS solutions.
Yep. Yep.
So the broadband ocean is rising, floating a lot of boats that are that broadband overlay, which includes cloud communications.
And we know that Alianza will be right
Absolutely.
there in the midst of that. And we thank you so much for sharing an update on what's going on with Alianza. Always great to catch up with you, my friend, and
Likewise.
greatly look forward to the next opportunity to check back in with you guys and see what's happening.
Awesome. I appreciate the opportunity, Craig.
Absolutely. On behalf of Kevin, thanks so much for letting us be a part of your day. We'll see you next time right here on the Broadband Universe. So long, everyone.